I thank you for listening to this talk. The title is The Hidden Side of Musical Knowledge, the multiplicity of inner perspective of musical learners. In this talk, uh, this is the order of the talk. I basically have three topics. I will go through that one by one later. So what is so-called knowledge that we produce in music research? How do we understand the multiplicity of knowledge and why does it matter in music education? In this lecture, I will share different types of inner perspectives of a learner that are being achieved or being acquired through several methodological concepts. Why do I focus on the inner perspective? Um, it is basically come from my personal experience where we couldn't know what is the reality on the ground when a learning takes place by only looking at um, the what do you call that, the labels, the information on the surface. So a lot of many labels and educational informations looks very objective, but in fact it is actually quite it doesn't tell the true pictures or the more complete pictures. And also because I come from a post-colonial and a multilingual uh, um, environment. I grew up in that kind of environment. So I have learned that many things in my society you will need interpretation to know the truth of what is going on. That's the reason. So today's today's outline, I have four. First, I will will touch on one the matter of or the concept of cultural context uh, using the late Professor Yamaguchi's argument, uh, and after which I will uh, try to explore a bit on the native view, the so-called native view, um, and about doing ethnography in music education. So it's about ethnography in music education that put forth this emphasis on native view. And after that, I will touch on the tacit knowledge. This is another concept from another area called critical pedagogy, and finally, I would like to share about interpretative phenomenology. Uh, but through all these different methodological concepts, my focus, what I'm talking about today, is all about music learning. And my research has been on teaching traditional music, teaching music in school, and also teaching jazz in music college. So it is all about music learning. So about context, cultural context, I I'm presenting the things this concept based on Yamaguchi's theory of trans-contextualization, myakuraku henkan in Japanese. Uh, of course, there are many discussions or I mean this is part of the what do you call it, the air in cultural anthropology. Uh, But here I present it in the way following Yamaguchi's way of conception. So any musical text uh, is shaped by a situation where the several contexts intersect. So in retrospect, any musical text would not be thoroughly understood. You can't understand the musical text without examining the context, the particular contextual situation it derives from. And in prospect, the continuous change of a contextual situation determines the form and the essence of a musical text in future, in which the musical text may alter its form or develop or may, in worst case, cease to exist. So first one, any musical text is supported and derived and shaped by a situation where several contexts intersect. Now the Japanese term myakuraku um, is even more vivid than the word context, because it illustrates blood vessels. Means this just not just it's not a single line of what happened before and what happened after. Not just a chronological line, but there's a few chronological lines that intersect together that um, brought about the happening of a music. So in here, we take music as a text, as a form of text. Sometimes we call it musical text. Um, and the context of a music can be anything in space and in time, or in category, uh, diachronically or synchronically, uh, engaged or involved or woven together with the text. So the context is inseparable with text. So we examine the context in order to understand the text. So my first point is that we can't understand the music without understanding its background, its context. But my second point is we also need to try to avoid as much as possible uh, writing context and text in separation, as if we are writing two different theses. So how to produce the text within context and how to produce the context uh, in a way that is closely woven with the text. I'm talking about research report when you write, um, will be the challenge. Um, so for the things in the future, actually, yeah, one thing is that if the context change, the music will experience alteration, modification, change, or even disappear. So Prof. Yamaguchi's envisioned a framework for the future. Now, this actually has a reason, come from his personal uh, encounter when he, together with the Tokumaru, Prof. Tokumaru, and also the late legendary Koizumi, the three ethnomusicologists in Japan, when they run a large-scale Asian performing arts revitalization uh, project, they face this little happening in the backstage where uh, the performers from different countries start to interact and mix around with the music by playing around. It's just they're just having fun. But so the Western scholars were quite reactive towards that. But the Japanese scholar has a different view. So that is how uh, the Prof. Yamaguchi can actually sense the time in the future. We are no longer, we are actually getting away from this, the colonized mindset. Even they're talking about the coherence of a traditional practice is also within that colonial discourse. But if we do not have that colonial framework, what framework do we have when we talk about when music can just mix up? Because uh, if you are happy with randomization, um, but that's fall out of what is the purpose of research altogether. So we are talking about uh, is it possible to have any framework that can be used to research the future? This is a bit oxymoron to research about the future, yeah. But that is the situation of Asian countries, notwithstanding. So the first question for you all to think about is that we who research on traditional music, most of the time our informations are limited to what we have in front of us. We gather by recording and observations and interview. Those are all synchronic data. Unlike the written traditions, we lack of the diachronic data. So our fieldwork is also done at a particular point of time. But the discussion here is like, do synchronic description of a music tradition still have a meaning in representing a culture, especially in the time called now, that, 10 years, 20 years, with this mobile connectivities, uh, where even the landscape will change in a short time. Does it still have meaning? Okay, now I move on to my second point. Second point is about native view. So native view has been debated uh, in cultural anthropology, but nevertheless, this is still a very valuable point that we need to understand something that outsider. We need to, when we do research, we need to understand beyond what the outsider can understand. Simply put, otherwise, maybe we may miss the point. We may not really comprehend what is going on, especially for things as sophisticated as music. So my basic position is I look at any learning community as a society, and I use ethnographic methods to uh, to analyze the learning process. So it simply means do field work in school, yeah, in classroom. So cultural anthropology or ethnomusicology um, aims at to have to deepen understanding of a musical system. But in contrast to that, uh, my aim, my interest in music education and ethnography is to see the growth of people, the growth of a human in cross-cultural setting. So this is kind of like my basic questions for music education ethnography. So when a music text leave the original place, being transferred and transmitted and passed on to somebody who is not a cultural bearer. So what do the learners really learn? What was learned and what was understood and what was acquired? So, and also in the context where there's a cultural differences between the instructors, the learners, and the parents or the supporting um, society, what is being delivered in education? What is being achieved? So here also, um, I am I base my questions on uh, Prof. Yamaguchi's point on the transcontextualizations, where the context affect the shape and the form of a text. So from here, I will give many cases of my previous studies. First one, this is in Ulu Tembeling. This is my PhD dissertation. This is where almost forgotten tradition of grass cutting song and dance. Um, the senior villagers taught the younger villagers to practice and to pick up the music. And yep, this is where I study how the villagers interact with each others. Many episodes happening surrounding the learning, teaching, the perceptions, and also the evaluations by the villagers, in a sense that there is a gap between not only for about cultural gap, but it's the gap of um, because for them learning something, doing something with a timetable and structured is a challenge. And my next case is college students learn singing from a village, a senior villager. So these college students visited the village and they learned for a week. So this inner perspective of the student was that the song from unfamiliar songs, the distance become closer. And after a week of stay, they've they felt the music become very familiar, even though the music was actually very, very rare kind of structure. And that's the that's about this experiment. My another paper, this paper document, including myself as a learner, together with others, college students, picking up traditional string instrument orally without notations. And the point here is that it is so difficult uh, when a little, you know, uh, for learners who are dependent on literacy, trying to communicate with the instructor who only based on hearing and orality. So the beginning of each phrase was perceived with individual difference. Everyone think that phrase start in certain way, certain point, and everyone's starting point is different, but we're still talking about the same thing. So many confusion, but what I found out was that the learners also shape uh, the teaching approach in many ways. So That's why the title of the article is Who Teaches Who, meaning it is actually an interaction between two parties that make up the learning process. Now, this is another article and another work that I did. After I pick up the instruments, I travel around and teach secondary school kids. And after going to 3 different schools, teaching like a few dozens of students, I have kind of listed down uh, the learning of something that's unfamiliar, the instruments, uh, by using embodiment, using body as a keyword. So there is the body of the instruments, the body of the music, and the body of the learners, the teaching approach, also the purpose of learning and the cultural relevance, and also authentic expressions. All these are playing in the process of learning. So you can see all these factors, how they come together, uh, each student's picking up it differently. So here come more complete kind of ethnography, which is uh, a master thesis by Wu Xuemi. Is the situation is very unique. A Chinese school which promotes a wholesome, comprehensive Chinese medium teaching and Chinese cultures and values. But the students are made up of students of different culture who actually do not speak Chinese in their home. So this is a little bit like um, study abroad domestically, kind of. It's a juxtaposition of cultural differences. So this happened because of circumstance in Malaysia. Um, the research result shows that students did experience culture shock. They go through stages of culture shock. They do cultural adjustment. And also what they learn is not just knowledge, but also uh, what they learn is actually a process of enculturation. It's a very holistic enculturation of the cultural features, even in singings, in all the technical features, and also about values, about thinking based on the Chinese culture. So questions for discussion is, could our ordinary music teaching, practice and performance, could this stand before meticulous observation of ethnography? Because ethnography claims to be able to make the ordinary special and turn the special back to ordinary. So could our daily music practice be observed as something special? Please discuss. Now on to the third topic. Now on to critical pedagogy. I'm still continuing this journey. From native views, now we are going to another matters, which is collectively shared knowledge and rules that is collectively shared by the community in learning, but it was not spoken, was not told, was not written. So here hence the tacit rules. And I claim that tacit rules in a, in music education is actually the key to understand what is going on. So here, this is actually my a bit of a reflections, kind of writing, reflective writings on my teaching of jazz lessons. So I find students struggling, and I try to do some thinking and reflect upon what I observed. I found that uh, still, jazz actually has two aspects: the algorithm aspect and also the freedom kind of aspect. But it seems the local students are more restricted to the algorithm perspective in their understanding. So now I come to my final point. Uh, so now try to, this is where in the later part of my journey, to understand, even to go deeper into the inner perspective. Yes, uh, ethnography has many tools like vignette, field diary. Uh, Ethnography itself is a style of writing to bring the readers to the scene, to let them have like first-hand experience. But that is still uh, running at description, but it doesn't go as close as phenomenology can goes to. Um, so this is where I come in touch with phenomenology, because many, when students experience something, when students start to learn something new, let's say you teach a chord, let's let's say you play the chord for the first time, what they experience is not knowledge, it's not skills, it's not nothing, but it's a phenomena first of all, for all. You remember the time when you hear chord for the first time, right? It is something before you start to put word on it. It is first and foremost a phenomenon. So um, the idea of bracketing is very powerful, because it's trying to, let's say, don't think about it as chord, don't think about it as a scale, as knowledge or calculations, but there is one thing that you feel, just like the sensation that you have, and before you come to term with the sensation, and that actually could tell um, what that is actually how the the deep, the most direct uh, uh, perceiving of a learner. But this can't be shared by words. So phenomenology provides means to share that by using analogous or metaphors description. So with that, uh, as an extension of what my effort trying to understand the journey of jazz learners, which I have been teaching so many years, I come up with this phenomenological concepts. Phenomenology, if you read into it, uh, there are many school of thoughts. So I uh, put together certain point of phenomenology, Jonathan Smith IPA, and also um, Kierkegaard's writing of subjectivity. One of the point that I hold on to is that the way a learner perceives knowledge is very much of individual. It's very individual, and it is affected by his or her background. That's one thing, you are affected by that. But the way a learner understand the learning object is also very individual. And there's also a collective issue in it. So it is this is there's a there's a plural factors that is on that playing together. And so learning unavoidably involve the perceptions of the learning object, and where the key objects of concern of a student may not be really what is written in the syllabus. And this will in turn affect the self. And this is the part that um, we could not emphasize more. So it's not just the students is working on the object, but the object also has an effect through this interaction with the object. The students' self-image, feelings, efficacy will start continue to evolve or change or being damaged or being affected. There's a lot of things that's going on there. So the master thesis by Wong Xiao-en, I just uh, share some of the findings that learners are in the intersections of a few discourse, as you can see there. But basically, learning jazz for Malaysian students is not just about learning the music. You cannot just take music out and say they are learning the music. It's not as simple as music skills. It involves the understanding of the learning object and actually, what do you call that? Um, a reworking of the understanding, this one, and also to figure out where are the tacit rules. And by navigation through the challenges, their image also change. So here are some of the quotes. Now, the good thing, I mean, the contribution of IPA is mainly on depicting the journey so that you can really feel like you are inside the students. You can share that inner perspectives. And by this, it is quite clear that learning jazz is almost like learning a foreign language. Uh, so this quote tells how students hate what they're supposed to learn, swing. And another quote said, once the student get into, start to go, uh, get going in their learning, he feels this is a new normal. The door is open for them. And the matter of groove cannot be stressed more, but seldom mentioned in any others learning literatures about jazz. But it is a big issue for the students. It's a very vivid description, as you can see on the screen. So I come to my conclusions. Of course, throughout the years, researchers do have their preference. Uh, my interest is always, I found in retrospect, I find that I would be excited when I see a situation where learner face a monster. So I do not deal with other situation which is more constructive, more positive, more step by step, more systematic. But my focus and interest has been when you have a situation with a monster. When a barrier in learning occurs due to the gap of culture, background, readiness, or circumstance. So, in conclusion, what I have shared and what I have done was Western classical students trying to learn music orally, urban children trying to learn the music instruments of the minority, The Malay ethnic background students attending Chinese school music classes. Malaysian music students taking jazz as a major. And my recent research also is on the Japanese students facing multilingual and multi-religious society. So where is the contribution? I think the first contributions I find it little, very little research or writing that really focus on the learners. I'm not sure why. Um, I see a lot research on teaching approach, the teaching material, even research on teacher training, yes, but I didn't find much research on learners. Shouldn't it be equally emphasized in that triangle of teacher, learners, and the materials? And second is that, of course, it can improve the particular situations. So all my studies is a bit like case focused. It can help the case, but most importantly, that is the contribution of any qualitative research, which is to inspire new thought process uh, across different areas and disciplines. That must be very, very clear. The contribution is not about finding solutions, immediate solutions, but to activate or to stimulate new thought process in other areas. In fact, what I have discussed here, many of you, even you are not in the same area with me, it will ring a bell to you. And that is where I hope to build the discourse. And through that, we can understand better how uh, we human beings um, take this very individual task of learning and grow. Thank you very much.